We're here today with Drisana Levitzke-Gray, Young Australian of the Year for 2015, finalist in the Humanitarian Awards and Global Advocate for the Deaf. She's had an amazing story and journey that we can share from today and understand her context around different leadership aspects that have worked well in different countries that she's visited, different contexts, and how she can bring the next generation of leadership, what's expected to help Australia grow and be successful. So welcome, Drisana.
Yeah, thank you.
I'd love to start with understanding what from you are some key traits in leaders that should be celebrated, rewarded and encouraged.
Well, I really think that we definitely need to celebrate leadership and leaders and those who are actually taking on those traits. So not somebody who acts or takes on those personality traits of a boss. I think they're two very different things. You know, a boss is somebody who tells people what to do around the workplace or tells people what to do in general. And a leader is someone who's very much incorporated teamwork and that ideology. So encouraging their staff to contribute to the teamwork or to share their ideas or to collaborate with each other, I think that is a fantastic trait that leaders need to have and something that we need to celebrate and encourage.
Definitely. So what do you think young people expect or even demand of leaders today, and are they getting it?
Well, I think that young people, especially ones like myself, we really want to participate and contribute to society. We want to give our ideas and be involved. We want to work with the leaders that are in power at the moment. But unfortunately, in that arena, we're not really feeling as though we're being welcomed to contribute. You know, I think we sort of feel like, we've been shunned a little bit, like, wait until you're older, wait until you have degrees such as myself, etc. Wait until you have, the knowledge, wait until you become CEO and then you can contribute and then you can do something. And to me, that just poses a massive risk. That way of thinking is so dangerous. I mean, to disregard youth like that who have such a unique perspective and have such fantastic ideas and strategies of how to resolve certain issues and issues that exist today. Like, if we disregard the youth and their potential to contribute, then things like climate change might not get any sort of attention until 30 years from now. But we could be doing something today. Or human rights for deaf children. I mean, I know how to resolve that issue and I can do it today, but it might not happen for a few years because people might not take on my ideas because I'm younger. I mean, leaders really sort of do pose that upon the youth, but they really should be encouraging us to get involved and get on board with what's going on. I think, why wouldn't we want a better Australia today?
So are there any simple yet significant ways that we might be able to encourage greater contribution or engagement of young people into decision making, or other ways that might be more impactful to hear that perspective of youth?
Well, I think that we really need to get more collaboration happening. We really need to encourage young people to get involved so that when we have negotiations and discussions about organisations or businesses or what have you, that we really engage a representation from each generation because they each have their own specific perspective on things, and we really want to make sure that services and businesses have a match to fit each of those. So I really believe that we need to actively encourage and welcome the involvement of young people, and that would be very beneficial.
I wonder, in all the travels that you've had around the globe, really, as Global Advocate for the Deaf, are there any other approaches to leadership that you've seen work incredibly well in different countries or contexts that we might be able to bring here to WA or Australia and be effective?
Really, I think the key point is that a great trait of leadership is, for example, I have a wonderful relationship with Woolworths, and it's been an amazing journey so far working with them. I'm actually very good friends with the CEO, and it's funny when you're talking about the CEO, he doesn't have that persona of, the big boss, the big CEO. He knows how critical it is for his role to make sure that Woolworths encourages and includes diversity. So, for example, when I ask him for a meeting, so let's just say to discuss services or working with deaf staff to make improvements to things or key issues, he's more than happy to set that up and sit down with me and take that feedback on board. He'll take notes and he's very grateful for that, and he really appreciates the feedback. He really appreciates to have a different perspective on things that he doesn't necessarily have an awareness of. He's very welcoming and encouraging of us to have those sorts of conversations so that he can build a knowledge and then be able to resolve those issues. And that is a fantastic example of a trait that I've seen in leadership that is successful to say, but also do what you say you're going to do. So he really does walk the walk, and that is critical.
Yes, good point there. It sounds like the CEO of Woolworths, your boss, is someone who's quite progressive in his leadership style. So I wonder, are there any aspects of leadership that we traditionally associate with leaders or bosses, as you say before, that aren't going to continue to be relevant in the future?
I would say definitely that the hierarchical model is something that's been around forever. You know, that's how humans have operated for such a long time now. But I think that it can work if there's leadership involved, but not everything is based around that mentality. Hierarchy is there because, you know, there's multi-billion-dollar corporations who know which department needs to report to which. There's a system and a process, and we know how that works in that particular system. You know, there's line managers and then general managers, etc. It's a very clear way to operate, which is fine. But what is so important is that you have good leadership in that model. So, you know, whether it's your CEO or your managers, people that are willing to work collaborative in a team and actively be leaders with those traits that we discussed earlier, liaising with staff and encouraging their feedback and learning about their individual ways, processes, life's barriers, how to resolve those issues. I think that that is another wonderful trait of what makes a successful leader and then a successful corporation. It doesn't matter about the structure, it's about the team and the mentality and having a common goal and how to get there. And how to get there together.
You've made some beautiful points there around leadership and inclusivity. So in an organisational context, leaders in a corporate sort of world, how they treat it almost like a family as opposed to a command-control arrangement. I think that's a fantastic aspiration for all other leaders to head towards. And I wonder, what would be your, looking at the next generation of leadership, what would be your one hope for young people to take note of today to position us favourably for the future?
Hopefully, young people will be able to learn about how to take that strength on themselves and stand up for themselves and contribute. So whether it's domestic violence or whether we're talking about pay inequality or any issue that they feel that they have a feeling that things aren't right or things aren't fair, I think that it's so important that they have the ability to stand up and say something. I mean, I'm quite fortunate. I've grown up in a really strong family. I'm very assertive. My parents really encouraged me to stand up and speak my mind. So unfortunately, not a lot of people have learnt those skills and don't know how to stand up for themselves. So, or they don't have the resources. They don't know how to achieve what they're wanting or not knowing how to source the people they need to speak to. So it's important that we encourage that behaviour, and that way we can become mentors ourselves as youth. So we're really sort of paving the way. We can speak with young people and pass on the wisdom and knowledge, if you will, and support them so that they can become strong advocates for themselves and represent themselves well. I think that today's world, everything's changing so fast. Information, rules, regulations, everything's so fast-paced. It's difficult for young people to sort of keep up, but we are able to partner up with them, you know, with my knowledge, their wisdom and joint perspective. You know, we can kind of grow in strength together. So, you know, the stronger we are, the stronger the future is for Australia.
Gosh, you've got some fantastic points there around things like support in the family, support in the workplace, inclusion, participation and partnership. It's so much more of a collaborative and nurturing environment. Fantastic views there. I wonder if there's anything else that you'd like to contribute here around your views on leadership.
For me, honestly, I think leadership is about taking care of your team and making sure that their mental health is fine, making sure that their home life is fine. I mean, what happens at the home, especially with their mental well-being, can greatly affect them in the workplace. I think that a lot of people assume that they know how to handle situations and cope with what's going on, but that's not necessarily the case. I mean, I've had that experience myself where my mental well-being was greatly affected at the workplace and I don't feel as I was supported nearly enough. I didn't feel like I was supported nearly enough at work, and that really identifies the need to support people in those senior roles to keep in the forefront of their minds to check in with staff members. I mean, deaf staff members have barriers, and it's important that those people in leadership roles think, well, what can I do to make their workplace smoother? Maybe I need to suggest counselling or workplace modifications. Whatever it takes, I think that it's important that those people who are in leadership roles check in with staff members and make sure that they're doing well and coping and happy. And lastly, I think it would be great if we can encourage people to pursue their passion. When people have the opportunity to mix their passion with their work, really, my goodness, the sky's the limit. It's more workplace productivity, more ideas, more creativity. I think that a lot of people like to keep the passion separate to their staff members in the workplace, but I think that if you really find a way to align the two, the impact on the workplace is phenomenal. The excitement and the creativity that flows, it makes it such a better workplace and then your passion elevates and then the work elevates, and it's cyclic. I think that passion really is the key, and encouraging people to find their passion and watch them grow.
I love that as a point to take away now, how leaders encourage and pull out the passion in people to get that next level of performance. You talked about the importance of dealing with mental health in an appropriate and supportive way. And I wonder what your views are around leadership, beyond just the organisation but broader, what role leaders can play to collectively address and support people with mental health issues.
I think in all organisations or businesses or boards or committees or what have you, I think everyone really has a responsibility to take care of each other. 45% of Australians will experience mental health throughout their lives. 45% will have that experience. So I think it's imperative that we really look after each other. That's almost 1 in 2 people. And, you know, myself, I've been that person. I think it's important that we identify the issue, identify that there is an issue, but then also put supports in place so that those issues can be resolved. It's important that people get the amount of support that they need. I think sometimes it's seen as a burden, like, oh my gosh, I've got to help you, I've got to do this. But mental health is so serious. I think that, and for deaf people as well, deaf people are 4 times more likely to experience mental health in their life compared to hearing people. So that's like every day having barriers, not being able to communicate, not being able to make those connections with people. People who don't sign, it's difficult to communicate or have that connection, and then people become very closed-minded. They have a poor attitude of deaf people, and we're working hard to make those connections and engage. And I think irrespective of whether you're deaf or not, socially, we have a collective responsibility to our peers to make sure that we're well. We talk about home life and making sure that everything's in check, but really mental health is critical for that. It's a serious thing that we really need to address for all Australians, and we all need to be equally responsible for that. Having been through that myself, when that shoe was on the other foot, I was like, oh my goodness, yes, I do need help. And so I feel that it's my place to support them.
So thank you very much for your time, sharing your views, very valid points. Thank you very much, Drisana.
No, thank you very much. Thank you.